Right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second consecutive Sunday episode of Shootout with Prost International. That's prostinternational.com. All three of us here, you can see on your screen the two beautiful faces are Adrian, who was here last week. How you doing, mate? You right?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah, good, thanks. Rocking the Mansfield top this week.
I
Proud of
am
yourself,
this week, yes.
Proud of yourself.
Yeah, got
Don't
to
happen
be
often.
the weekend win.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that me and Jacob, who is my third guest, or second guest rather, are not wearing our team shirts this week. Although we should be less embarrassed than we were last week. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
You're
Wearing that, might wear it next.
We got Brighton. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Well, we're going to go through all the Premier League bits and talk a little bit about the EFL Cup this week. The second round draw was made, and all the Premier League teams except the European members come into it. But first off, we're going to talk about probably what is going to be one of the biggest points over the course of the season, and that is VAR. Ilkay Gundogan is not happy about it at all. It's been 180 minutes and he's sick of it. I'll start off with you, Adrian. Do you think it's working? Is VAR doing what it's meant to do?
Not really. It's some of the cases are valid, but some of the times are unnecessary. Like Ilkay Gundogan has pointed out, he's not happy, is he? It just isn't. It would deny the goal through the VAR, but was it intentional that he handballed it? I don't know. I don't think so.
It's not the rule now, though, is it?
No, exactly.
Outside of the silhouette, I don't even know what the silhouette is because everyone's silhouette's a little bit different.
We don't even know what the rule really is. All these rule changes that have been put in place, it's just a bit odd.
No, what about you, Jacob? Are you a fan of VAR so far? We've not seen it too many times, but I must admit, the times I have seen it, it tends to have done what it's meant to do.
I think it is meant, it's him basically. But I think, should we have it? And do we really need it? Football, you think of this, go down the park, play mates, put jumpers down. Since goal and technology, I think I feel like FIFA's getting carried away with it. And so one thing's worked, which is successful, and then we're trying to add to it all the time. I just think it takes away the simplicity of it, really.
Yeah, I mean, goal line technology undoubtedly is a success. There is a very clear yes or no, black and white answer when it comes to goals. Yeah. The whole ball over the line, or it's not. As we found out last season, when was it John Stone stopped the ball going over by 1.3 mil or something stupid like that.
Cool.
But there's too many grey areas in the rules, isn't there? I mean, they've changed the handball rule to suit. Now it's just a joke. Offsides. Pardon me, drinking Coke. That's what happens to you. Offsides, we just haven't got a clue, have we? Daylight, armpit, who knows? What would you do, Adrian, to change VAR or to make VAR work? Is it a rule change that needs to happen, or do we just need to get rid of it? Is it becoming too much?
I just get rid of it. Make it more simpler because obviously, as you can see, it's just getting complicated. Players aren't happy, and I just get rid of it plainly because of what is happening to the game. It's just making it a little bit longer with the whole decision making, and it's just unnecessary. I think ref's decision. That's it. End of.
Yeah, I do kind of understand why VAR came in because I was reading all the tweets by Matt Letizia today. It's one of my daily routines, and he was talking about the League Cup final, which we lost 3-2 to Manchester United, and obviously the infamous Gabbiadini goal, and situations like that changes a club's fortunes, doesn't it? And I think, Jacob, you'll probably agree that would have probably changed our future years, or that it would have stopped us getting Mark Hughes as manager, let's be perfectly honest. If we had won that cup, the trajectory would have been different. And that just goes to show what a refereeing decision can do. What would you do with VAR? Are you a fan? You talked earlier about how football is meant to be simple. Would you get rid of it and revert back, or give it a bit of time to ease in?
I think they're going to go all in on it, really. I think in terms of simplicity of it, I think it's it's not great, to be honest with you. When I think of the Gabbiadini moment, obviously when you're we need VAR. But when you're opposing team, you think, thank God we did have VAR. So I think throughout the season you're gonna have times where you're in favour of VAR and times where you're not. And I think, in my opinion, referees make mistakes, players make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes, and I just feel over the course of the season it will even itself out.
Yeah, I guess the biggest confusion with VAR we saw with because with the Laporte handball one, it was handball. The rule states if it touches your arm, it's handball. That's that. But the offsides, obviously Raheem Sterling deemed offside for his armpit being offside last week. How would you fix that rule? How would you make what interpretation or what words need to be said to make sure everyone knows exactly what the offside rule is? Do you have any of you have any ways of going about that? I've seen a few ideas banded about, but everyone's got different ones. Go on, Adrian, you go. I'm gonna poke you.
You're gonna poke me. It's just like with obviously the Sterling situation with his armpit being offside. It's just if it's clear to the referee, like at the moment, I wouldn't say I'm in favour of VAR, but obviously if it's clear that you're behind, obviously if the attacking player is behind the defender, the last defender, then it's offside. It's deemed as offside, but it's just gone to a whole different level. So I really couldn't tell you what changes or what alterations could be made.
Where would you draw the line on a player? Would you say it's a goal scoring part of the body, the whole body, a foot, a toenail?
I'd probably say goal scoring part of a body. If it's clear, if it's I couldn't tell you. Foot maybe. I don't know. It's hard to decide. It really is hard to decide with all of these changes, and it's just going crazy a little bit.
What about you, Jacob? Where would you draw the line when it comes to offsides? Because that's the one we're going to get the biggest issue.
I just think we need some common sense in all decisions. Really, you think of the Women's World Cup. All they have to do is smash at an arm, and it's a penalty. Or it's just offsides. I think if it's marginal, if it's like a fingernail, I just think I think strikers, it's a hard enough job as it is leading the line. I just feel I would personally be in favour of giving the strikers something back. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm a defender, but I just feel strikers. We need to think of it. We need to have a bit of common sense about it. And I question the people. Last year, although it's not offside, it's a penalty. The PSG Man United game, ball was blazing into Kimpembe, and they give the ball and they give handball, slowed down, different angles. I just feel you need to look at it from like live speed, and to take a sense approach.
See, for me, offsides. Growing up, I don't know if it was ever actually a rule, but it was always deemed that you give the advantage to the striker. You'd have the benefit of the doubt was the phrase that was always bandied about, and I'm still in that field. Really, I watch football for entertainment, and goals are entertainment. I mean, I have some people like watching defending. I don't. So, and I think most people would choose goals over defending. So give the advantage to the striker. For me, I reckon. I'd go any foot, any part, any foot or leg ahead. But when strikers are like running, they're leaning over the line, so their torso is in front, but their legs are still behind the defender. For me, I wouldn't call that offside if I was making the rules, because he's just moving quicker. He's not cheating by moving first. I don't know. It is hard to draw that line, but
yeah, it is.
But if you're leaning over the line, your brain's a second ahead. It's not that your body's a second ahead, is it? In a roundabout way, it's hard to put into words. I guess it's the problem the rule makers have, because no one can truly. Sorry, what was that? Oh, sorry. Anyway, we're going to move on because we've got some audio problems. No, carry on, Jacob. Sorry.
I just think good old technology. But when I was thinking, I think if it's like you're saying, side, I think it's up to the linesman in that case. If it's so marginal, I would often trust what the linesman thinks. I think you should give some power back to the linesman rather than rulers out them largely. On VAR it takes, with Zoom. If it's more whatever the linesman thinks, we should go with that decision.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, we saw who was we watching at the weekend? Whoever it was, and someone over the weekend, they were raving about the linesman, like, oh, he's the best linesman in the game. And credit to where credit's due, he got some decisions spot on. I just think it's down to getting better linesmen. I'm not saying some are bad, but some are clearly better than others, and we need everyone to get to a top level. But when we'll see how that goes. Next up, then we'll go on to the Liverpool game.
In England, we're supposed to have the best.
Yeah, sorry, Jacob, you're like a second or two behind. We'll move on to the Liverpool game, which they won 2-1 at St Mary's. It was an odd performance. They weren't fantastic. Southampton weren't great either. Definitely better than last week. Obviously, Sadio Mane scores just before half time. Stunning strike to put them 1-0 up, and then after that, Liverpool were in control. Although disappointed from a Southampton point of view that we didn't equalise. Danny Ings obviously scored that after a howler from Adrian, but not you, Adrian, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I know, obviously.
And then he misses an absolute sitter in the dying seconds as well. Adrian, did you see any of the game? What did you make of Liverpool's performance?
I didn't really see the game. I can't comment. I just saw the highlight of Mane scoring that absolute. Can I class it a screamer? I'll class it a screamer.
It is a screamer, of course it is.
I'll class it a screamer.
Angus Gunn only concedes screamers.
But obviously, with Adrian making that howler, not me, the Liverpool goalkeeper, he was supposed to be ruled out for an injury, if I'm not mistaken, and it got put in goal. So potentially Liverpool having bigger problems, and Adrian could be potentially hurt even more. I don't know. We'll have to see if it goes to the third choice goalkeeper of Liverpool's,
which is Andy Lonergan, Preston legend. Not a great goalkeeper, but a Preston legend nevertheless. Jacob, obviously you watched the game, and we just spoke about Adrian there. How much of a miss is Alisson going to be, judging on that performance? Because he did okay in the Super Cup, but that's going to knock his confidence surely.
I think even before the Danny Ings goal, I think it could have been coming. The first half with the way Ralph Hasenhüttl wants to play, they're pressing, and there's a few times where Liverpool got caught. There's a turnover in and around the box, and Saints weren't and aren't good enough to punish it most of the time. But I think even when they had Alisson during the pre-season games in the Community Shield, they didn't look the formidable defence they had last year. So although Alisson, I think there are deeper problems, and I'm not sure what that is. I just think the defence isn't quite as slick and compact as it was.
No, you're right. I don't quite understand what's going on. I know obviously against Southampton they didn't start Fabinho, who's obviously a monster in the centre of midfield, but you're right. I mean, they were never going to be conceding the goals, especially they conceded against Southampton and arguably against Chelsea in the Super Cup as well.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have conceded those last season. So, Adrian, do you think that's a cause for concern for Liverpool fans, or is it just part and parcel of the season?
Could be potentially. I don't know who started both games. Obviously, the Super Cup game as well. But wait, did Matip start? Did anybody know? Did Matip start?
Joe Gomez, I believe. In both games?
Yeah, I believe Joe Gomez started most of the games. I reckon Matip and Van Dijk, I reckon that connection could have been and is quite strong. And I reckon easing Gomez back into that centre-back position, which he hasn't played for a while because he's been injured for quite a while as well. I reckon tearing that Matip and Van Dijk partnership could have paid the price in in all of the 3 starting games that Liverpool have played.
Actually, I think Joe Gomez played right back in the Super Cup, and that was
maybe
one of the reasons they didn't quite perform. And then, but Jacob, what do you make of this start for Liverpool then? Should they be concerned about their challenge for the title? Because we'll get on to Man City a bit later, but they look like they're the real deal this season again.
I think Liverpool against Norwich in the first half. It was excellent stuff, but we got to remember is Norwich did have chances, and on another day, it could have looked very. I still question that midfield. I know they're great workhorses in midfield, but you saw it against Southampton. Who did they have? Milner, Wijnaldum. And for me, I don't think that's still in terms of controlling and making sure your boss games. And when you're playing as regularly Liverpool, they need to rely on keeping the ball a lot better, saving the legs. And if you compare that midfield to Man City, I don't think there's any comparison.
No, I mean, I'm just excited for a good title race again this season. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can have more than 2 teams involved in it. And you just mentioned Norwich. We're going to talk about those quickly now because Teemu Pukki, despite my weeks and weeks and weeks of saying he's no good and he'll never cut it in the Premier League, he's managed to bag a hat-trick against, it's Newcastle, but it's still a Premier League hat-trick nevertheless, and 4 goals in 2 games. Adrian, was I just being ignorant? Is Teemu Pukki ready to take the Premier League by storm? Because actually, he looks pretty good.
I said it in the last episode. Teemu Pukki, one to watch out. I did say it last episode, and I'm living with that statement. Teemu Pukki, I reckon he could potentially score if it only is 10, 15 goals this season. But if it's enough to keep Norwich up, it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, teams, when they come up, all they really need is a goal scorer. And that gives their chances of staying up a huge, huge boost. You've only got to look at Huddersfield, who really struggled to score goals. And despite that season, they did stay up. It was a bit of a freak because the following season, they were just absolutely abysmal. Jacob, are you worried for Newcastle? Or was that just a blinding performance from Norwich and Teemu Pukki?
Newcastle have always got the potential to turn. So you think Bruce, he was never really wanted there. And he's always sorting against the tide, and one bad, even close loss, I think tip it to negative. But I think Newcastle's bored because obviously Rafa left for issues, but then spend 40 million on a striker. So I don't see what direction.
No, and that's a very, very strange situation as well, because I don't know if you've read Rafa's column on The Athletic, but he apparently, Richard Charnley, who is the head of transfers, and is apparently really not qualified for the job. I don't know the full extent of it, but apparently he's just like a ticket office man who somehow got a top job. Apparently he said the deal for Joelinton was agreed in February when Rafa specifically said he didn't really want him. And I can understand why. I like Joelinton. I think he's a good player, but he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He's been brought in to play the Rondon role, and he's not a Rondon. He's actually more of a Perez than a Rondon. I think statistically last season, he was very, very similar to Roberto Firmino. And Firmino is not your man to lead the line in the style that Newcastle play, is he? He does so well in that Liverpool side because he's not leading the line. He's causing a fuss in the middle, allowing everyone else a bit of space. So, and then Almiron, oh my days, he's literally expected to take it from his own box to the opposite end of the pitch every single game, and he just can't do it, can he, Adrian?
What can we actually say? It's true what you have said. Almiron, he's been playing in the MLS most of the time, hasn't he? And it's not the Premier League, so you're not going to make darting runs from one box to the other and just score out of the blue. It's just not how it's going to happen. But
not unless you're Hatton Ben Arthur.
Oh, yeah, back in his day. But no, Joel Linton is not your number 9, and Almiron isn't going to make them darting runs that are gonna guarantee you goals every single day, every single minute. It's just not going to happen. But the Newcastle board, I don't know what they've done with the transfers, but you need a goal scorer, you need a proven striker, not a Joel Linton that hasn't scored and has scored twice in 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw that stat somewhere.
7 goals last season in the Bundesliga, but he's not a prolific goal scorer at all.
Never mind that. Never mind. But
yeah, you're doing him an injustice there.
Not prolific. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm sorry if you're watching, but no,
he is.
No, you're not. He's not a prolific goal scorer. You're right. So it's just down to the board getting a prolific striker that can at least guarantee you 10 plus goals a season.
Yeah. I think another problem Newcastle definitely have is you look at their midfield, and yes, Hayden performs admirably. Yes, Longstaff is a local lad and can pass the ball, and John Joe Shelby again, someone else who can really ping the ball all over the pitch. But for me, Jacob, they're missing that player in midfield who can actually carry the ball. I hate to try and sell him to a rival, but someone like Mario Lemina who can pick up the ball and drive forward, because they've got no ball carriers there, have they? And you're going to struggle to get high up the pitch if you've got no one who can do that.
He's definitely got the personality to play for a big club like Newcastle, but even with Benitez, you can always get the feeling they were punching above their weight in terms of they used to rigid 5 at the back. Richie play left wing back. And under Benitez, they're really good. I think perhaps the balance is tipping Roosters down. I think they'll be definitely. I just want to know what happened to Earth and Gems. They're that. And they used to buy Johan Cabayans. The sign of Joel Linton for 40 million. I just think completely their philosophy and what they used to do in the past.
Yeah, what would the Arsenal fans? We're not talking about them. Jesus, what would Newcastle fans give to have Rafa Benitez back? Because he was he said he's taken a bigger offer in China, and he did say it wasn't about the money, but money does come into it. And he was offered a contract before he left. It was the same wage he was on 3 years before, but had less say in the transfers as well. So, follow me again. They were just taking him for a ride, really. I'm really sorry for my burping. I should stop drinking the Coke. I burp and have another sip. Can't help myself. Just can't help myself. I've just been for a bike ride. I'm a bit sweaty and thirsty. Need some sugar. Right, where are we? Chelsea. Chelsea drew 1-1 with Leicester at Stamford Bridge.
Here we go.
Lampard has not won his first 3 games in charge of the club. The last man to do that, funnily enough, was Rafa Benitez. But he ended up winning a trophy, so they'll take that this season, let's be honest. Can we see this love affair turning sour, Adrian? Is Lampard showing he's got what it takes to be a Chelsea manager, or is it just a romantic appointment which is just going to crumble?
I reckon I'd point out Mansfield. Mansfield fans weren't very happy with drawing 2 games 2-2, being knocked out of the Carabao Cup, and it just nobody was happy. But obviously Chelsea fans it's just about building it up steadily. But obviously Lampard has only been managing a club for 1 year, and that's Derby, which are in the Championship. So he's not a proven Premier League manager, but I reckon if they ease his tactics in slowly and steadily, I reckon he'll be fine.
Would you agree with that, Jacob?
Yeah, in a strange way, I think it's a perfect situation for Lampard. I think if you look at that team, to the young, hungry team, where the ego that used to be in a change room, where they basically decided whether they wanted he hasn't got that. He's got, Hazard's gone. Obviously, we'd love to have him. David Luiz has gone. Young team. You saw at Derby, the average age went down, and I just think when you Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, maybe never got the quality, but they for sure got the eagerness.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Mount, we got to talk about him because he obviously scored that goal, which was a goal that kind of epitomised the way Lampard wants to play: high press, high energy, win the ball high up the pitch, and by law of averages, the higher you win it, the more likely you are to get a goal scoring chance at the very least. Adrian, has he got what it takes to become a full Chelsea player? Because there are some reservations about him.
Perfect number 10, hands down. Not saying anything.
Perfect number 10. That is a massive statement. Explain that.
At Derby, obviously, with his playing style that I watched week in, week out as an EFL fan, it was your person that it would just run up, press, do his utmost best to try and create any chance that he possibly could. And from the goal that he showed, he was up the pitch, well high up the pitch, pressing Wilfred Ndidi, won it off Ndidi and slotted it away. What else would you want?
Yeah, I can't agree with you there. I do think on occasion his decision making and composure is poor, but we have to remember he is only 20 years old.
Plus, he scored that initial goal, which got in the draw in the end, but it could have been a win.
Yeah, that is very true. Jacob, what do you think about Mason Mount? Perfect number 10 for you?
I wouldn't say he's perfect yet. I think you'll give him a chance. But I saw him in his first game for Derby, actually, against Reading. I was actually at the ground, and I didn't know who he was, never heard of him. And I thought he was fantastic that day, and I've kept a keen eye out for him since then. And I think what you said, Adrian, about impressing, I think that comes from him not having that ego that some other Chelsea players have had in the past. He's willing to do this for the manager. He's willing to almost prove that he deserves that number 10 shirt. And I think, for me, for a young manager like Lampard, I think it's perfect for him.
What number is he? Because he doesn't actually wear the number 10, does he? Willian wears the number 10,
No.
which is just baffling because Willian came on and he was freaking awful. Yeah, he's got time to grow. Like you say, this season for Chelsea is almost a free hit, isn't it? If he can get the time to bed himself in, he could turn out to be a good player. Another one of Chelsea's youngsters who definitely needs a bit more time to bed in is Tammy Abraham. Last season at Villa, he was absolutely smashing the goals, but it wasn't the Championship. He seems to have really struggled his start at Chelsea. Adrian, do you think it's just a confidence thing or is it an ability thing with Abraham?
Well, he has had very successful loans in the past for Championship clubs, but it's not the Premier League, is it? I reckon if he just builds up his confidence, a few goals at least for Abraham, I reckon you'll probably be scoring a few, but as you said, all these youngsters need a bit of confidence, and their ability is likely to grow. So it's just the confidence and ability wise that he'll grow. His confidence will grow. Everything will grow. So I reckon he'll be fine in the next few years.
Yeah, Jacob, obviously, like I say, he struggled. Olivier Giroud, though, is a very reliable player to have as an option. Then there's Michy Batshuayi, who for some reason just seems to have been cast to the side. Do you think he deserves a chance over Abraham, considering what we've seen in the first few weeks?
To be fair, it's ever since he signed for him, I think he's been cast aside. Conte particularly wasn't a big fan of him, despite bringing him in for 30 odd million. He's been loaned out, shipped out, and I think for me, it's a player in there. I think as there is for all Chelsea Chelsea players in the team, I think they just need time. I think they need the senior players to step up and help them out a little bit. So I think Giroud adding 5-10 more goals for his game a season will help them out, take the pressure off them. But I think for me, all three strikers, as you mentioned, deserve time and deserve a chance in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I'd love to see a bit of Tammy Abraham. I'd love to see a little bit of Batshuayi in the team. But I have to admit, I'm a huge Olivier Giroud fan. I think he is very, very underappreciated. I mean, that goal in the Super Cup, the run he makes is just so clever. And I don't think you can expect someone like Abraham, who's so inexperienced, and someone like Batshuayi, who just doesn't have consistent game time, to be doing things like that. And I love a left footer as well. Can't help it.
Pleasure.
Goals just look better with a left foot. It's a fact.
I agree.
You know, I remember it was Harry Kewell. Every goal Harry Kewell scored looked amazing, just because it was left footed. But if I don't know, say if Gerrard did it or Vladimir Šmicer back then for Liverpool, you go, yeah, it's all right. But a lefty, absolutely stunning. And we'll go on to the EFL Cup second round. The first round's done and dusted. The second round has been drawn. Who have you got? Who have you got, Mansfield?
It's gone. It's out of here. Penalty loss.
You lost. I knew that. I was just being a bastard.
No, I was just pointing at it. We're gone. We're out of here.
Yeah, Morecambe, wasn't it? Morecambe 6-5 on penalties.
6-5. Ryan Sweeney blazed it over the bar. Gone.
Awful. Obviously, we got Fulham away. But Adrian, you're an EFL fan more than us two, I guess. Which ties stand out in that draw?
In that draw, probably the Lincoln Everton game. It's a repeat again. Is it from the Carabao or the FA Cup last season? I can't remember. I can't quite remember.
Couldn't tell you.
But it's a repeat nevertheless. And also the Newport West Ham game. Two big games for EFL clubs that they could potentially get a shock result against Premier League clubs. I'd love to see that happen.
Nottingham Forest derby as well. That's a tasty little game. And obviously,
that's a good game as well. It's a sellout. From what I've heard. Sell out from the Forest fans. It's over to the Derby fans to see if they can sell their allocation out as well. But I reckon that'll be a good game as well. Local derby. So what else could you want, really?
And then obviously we've been told not to say it, but I'm just for the sake of it. Southend MK Dons, massive game. Massive game. I'm sure Andy will love knowing that we consider it a huge tie. Jacob, do any ties stand out for you?
I knew I think I think you saw last year. They beat Leicester. They beat two fixtures against them. So I know what it's about. They know cup competitions. It's that horrible. The pitch might be okay compared to the FA Cup where it's just boggy.
Hopefully,
they could give West Ham a real. Who knows?
And it's West Ham. We can't forget that it's West Ham who just have this knack of collapsing when they have something so easy put in front of them. Was it Shrewsbury last season they struggled against quite badly?
I think so, yeah.
I'm sure, because one of my best mates is a West Ham fan and he's fuming every year at the cup games they lose. I love it. I can't help it. It's just a dream to listen to. Any more? We're 35 minutes in. Do you boys have anything you want to bring up?
I don't. Apart from a win for the mighty Mansfield, a 2-0 win.
This weekend? Oh, you've.
Tomorrow we've got Leyton Orient tomorrow, which I will be attending. I'll be watching the game.
Orient. I don't know. I fancy Leyton Orient. Not gonna lie.
Oh, thank you very much, Connor. That's but right, no, I hope.
Yeah, big.
I hope the confidence in the Mansfield camp have finally risen a little bit after a win. Hopefully, we could get a decent result against the newcomers, Leyton Orient.
Yeah, there's no non-league down near us. I was hoping to looking to see if there's an Eastleigh game on, but unfortunately not. Well, we got Brighton at the weekend, Jacob. How are you fancying that? Fancy us? You heading down?
Don't trust us. No, I'm not. I really don't trust us in any game. We could be playing Liverpool. You just don't know what we're going to get. And, the mentality's weak in defence. Real fantastic manager. He sets the team, goes back to the defence times, and in a game like that, where you got so South Coast staff. I just don't see us up for the challenge, and away from it, we're pretty substandard. And
It's all sunshine and freaking happy thoughts down on the South Coast, isn't it? Yay.
Doesn't look like it, does it? Let's be honest. Come on, optimistic about your club. You've got to be.
Oh, you don't know the life of a Saints fan, mate. We're not optimistic at all. Right, we'll call it there then. Thank you very much for joining me, boys. I look forward to it next week. Adrian, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see our Twitter handles at the bottom, but Adrian, do you want to just read yours out to those who are listening?
My Twitter handle is AdrianKeita70, and you can also find me out at www.prostinternational.com.
Correct. And Jacob, where can we find you online?
my Twitter handle is J, and also you can find me at prostinternational.com.
Yeah, this is Jacob on dial-up broadband, apparently. But anyway, thank you very much for joining. And for those of you for listening, we shall see you next week.
Thank you.